Thank you very much. Please let's sit down, I guess. So we try to keep it exciting because this is the bridge that I think Padma Kumar wonders about, but it won't last more than 45 minutes, I guess. So I'm happy to be joined with this very exciting panel over here because they are all industry leaders, professionals with a vast experience between them. So it's very interesting and for us to tap into their insights. Of course, they're not going to represent their company, so please take it as an expert talk on some of the subjects. So the first question, actually, I'd direct this to you, Sujith. We've talked about sustainability quite a lot today. And if you see how India is evolving in the next, say, 25 years, Mr. Tom Thomas warned me that this will grow by 5 to 6 times. And also sustainability, which probably is about 35% today, will move towards 100%. So I think we are not only looking at a big quantum of change, but also the scale is pretty big. So how do you see the tire industry actually preparing for this? Because we talked about bio-based materials moving away from petroleum-based materials like synthetic rubber, carbon black, and other chemical that's used. So how do you see the tire industry of India organizing themselves from a design stage but also into manufacturing?
Thank you, Sri. I think am I audible? Yeah. See, basically, thank you again, and this is a very vast topic you asked me, but I would say very relevant. If you look at the entire activities what tire industry is doing, I would like to put it in 3 phases. The first is the sustainable materials, the green and the SOC-free materials, and the second one is all the 3 R's that ma'am was also talking about: the reduce, recycle, and reuse. Okay, so in this 3 area, reduce means reduce the tire weight, reduce the carbon dioxide emission, reduce the overall the wear nature of the materials. So all those kind of things will come in that. So if you look at the reuse is about the retread is a reuse policy, and the renewable is a big area. So this is one part, and the third is how to source all these raw materials. Okay, so these are the 3 topics. So you asked about the green materials. So I think I would say green materials are the most exciting material today. If you look at, I think all the tire industry, what we are looking at today is the green materials are like all the kinds of natural materials are green, but it has got its own challenges. Natural rubber is having EUDR challenges. So it's a complicated, only by developing the materials, it is not that easy to directly apply into a product. So that is, I would say, it's another challenge also. Now another aspect is about all the recycled materials what you asked. So recycled materials, 2-3 major areas what tire industry is working on is the recycled, the high tensile materials. So increasing the strength of such materials when we are adding into the compounds. So this is another area. So all those areas are making the tire, a tire compounding lab very, very active nowadays, I would say. Everyone will agree to that. That is one thing. So another thing is the challenge is not only that, once the raw materials are a bank of materials we can develop, but once we develop that, how to scale it up. Okay. So if you ask a raw material manufacturer, everyone would be using, every tire industry on different specifications. So that's a challenge. So when we try to scale up any new materials we develop and try to scale up, if the specifications are different, that's very complicated now. So that is one challenge, I would say. Second, when we use this material, there is a lot of quality loss initially would happen. So how to manage that? Then when we take a trial in a factory, initially, first of all, there will be a lot of de-standardization is happening because all these materials are completely new. So this is another interesting topic. But once we try to scale up, then you need to meet many of the certifications. So I'm not talking about the entire thing. I'm talking only the key points, like whether it is ISCC certification. So if we want to buy that material, we should have that certification first, and that is plant specific, not organization specific. So if you want to buy for one factory, it should be that certification should be taken for that factory. So I would say very exciting time for a material team. I would say it's a huge amount of time the tire material experts are spending on it. So I could not touch on all the points. I just want to mention few of the topics interest to the audience here.
Thanks very much. I think you have sufficiently scared all of us in terms of how big the challenge is and how many dimensions we have to look. I don't know, Hari, would you like to add something, because you probably deal with the heaviest tires in this business?
Yeah, thanks, Sri. First of all, I'm in full alignment with Sujith. We have always spoken the same language, so we speak the same language always. So, okay, before getting into that details, today in the morning session, Dr. Saigadas has given a very beautiful picture about sustainability. It is not just about recycled materials or renewable materials. He has given a comprehensive picture of what is meant by sustainability, and he has given the definition of that we have all the right to live today using the resources, but we do not have the right to, we have to let the future generations also to live in the same way. So that is what about sustainability. But today, I think I don't want to take it to that bigger scope. Probably I will confine the discussion to the preservation of the natural resources, which we are talking about, the sustainable raw material content. So to put it in perspective, if you see the overall raw material that we consume today to produce tires, we have different types of raw materials. We have rubber, we have polymer, we have carbon black, we have white fillers, we have chemicals, oil. So if you make a kind of a Pareto, I think 6 material types would be contributing to almost 85 to 88% of the rubber of the raw material consumption. That means if we are dreaming of moving to a kind of 100% sustainability by, let's say, 2040 or 2050, we should be working on those 6 material types. And those 6 material types are, one is of course the natural rubber, then the synthetic rubber, and third would be the carbon black. So natural rubber and synthetic rubber put together, let's call it polymer. So that polymer is almost kind of 50% of the total RM consumption. Then 25% carbon black. So these two together makes almost 75%. Then comes probably the steel cord, steel tire cord, the textile, and perhaps the next one would be the rubber process oil. So these 6 material types together constitutes 85%, and we have to work on that. Unfortunately, natural rubber we consider as a sustainable material, even though there are questions around it, how sustainably we make it, we produce and we source and we transport. But we consider NR as a sustainable RM content. So typically, if you see most of the companies, including the Indian tire companies, who are producing probably mostly a mix of different types of tires like the PCR, TBR, and OTR. Typically, I would think around 30 to 35% may be the natural rubber content in the overall raw material mix. Depending, okay, if it's a company producing only TBRs, probably that may go beyond 50%, because most of the components or compounds are based out of natural rubber today. But otherwise, it would be around roughly around 35%. Then the synthetic rubber and carbon blacks put together would be kind of around 25 plus, around 45 to 50% is that. So I think these are the two areas, the synthetic rubber and the carbon black. There has to be some breakthrough game changes happening in the coming, let's say, in a decade time at least, to take us to what we are talking like 70% or 80% or finally to 100%. There are technologies available. It is not totally new. There has been researches happening in the last probably a decade, and it is proven that it is possible to produce butadiene from biosources. There are pilot plants available. I think Michelin has is collaborating with some of the partners in Europe to take it to a scalable level. And Yokohama is partnering with another Japanese Japanese synthetic rubber company, Jain, for the same purpose. So the technology is available. So it's all about getting into a scalable production now. Then carbon black. But I feel one route could be the biosources, but I think we have to work more on the circularity. So I am just visualizing a situation where almost 80% of the materials, if we are able to recover from the same used tire, I mean, I know it's a very hypothetical, probably sitting today, it may be a very hypothetical situation because tire is such a complex product where we have, it is not a very easily recyclable product because we have made into such a kind of a molecular level, you cannot separate out each material so easily, even though it is possible to a certain extent, but may not be commercially viable. So, but still, there has to be some breakthroughs happening, especially in the areas of, let's say, carbon black. See, we are putting all different sorts of carbon black into the, while mixing the compound, but when we are recovering the carbon black today, I don't know whether we can call it as carbon black itself, because it's just like a filler today. But if there can be some breakthroughs happening to enhance the capabilities of those recovered carbon blacks to at least to kind of 80 to 90% of the original carbon black, that is a game changer. Similarly, the recycled rubber today. Recycled rubber has been here for a very long time, but it is a highly degraded material. To put it in perspective, if you see, you make any virgin compound using the original polymer, carbon black, or the other rubber chemicals, the tensile strength of the material or the compound, the vulcanized compound would be to the tune of around, let's say, 20 to 25 MPa. And whatever we are getting today, after recycling, should be the tune of 5 or 6 MPa. You see the drop, it's almost 80% drop. So it's not just the original material that we are getting. So there has to be some research happening around that to take it to at least, I am not telling it may go to the 100% level, but at least if you are able to get it to 70 to 80% level of the original material, that's a game changer. Similarly, carbon black. Carbon black, if there can be some kind of functionalization happening on the carbon black surface, because the carbon black surface is chemically mutated when you do the pyrolysis. So there has to be something, major thing happening in that area. So then we are talking about that around 50 to 55% of the material becoming equal to the original material in terms of the quality. So when you talk about the preparedness, these are all concepts today. I will not say that we are fully prepared, but at least now the change is, maybe a kind of 10 years ago, sustainability was more like a fashion word. We were talking about sustainability maybe in 2015 or 2020 also, but probably in the last 4 to 5 years, there is a big shift happening. People are internalizing it and thinking and working seriously on that. Like Sujith was telling, I think most of the tire R&D centers today are busy. Maybe 80% of the time is going in. And most of the people, I think it would be the same things happening in all the only difference I do in Tirunelveli and Sujith does in Halol. That's only different. But generally, I suppose the things are maybe very similar. So there would be opportunities of further collaboration. So preparedness, yes, there is a lot of work to do, but we have some visibility available, at least from the concept point of view. So I think it's a positive going forward.
Well, thanks so much. I think you're right about the fact that we need to do the Pareto analysis, and then you will see that how to approach this. And like you said, 6 materials constituting 85%, and there's a lot of work to be done as well. And I'd like to rendezvous back to what you said earlier, Sujith, in terms of working on developing these solutions. I think when I look back at my engagement with the tire industry, like over 25, 26 years, I think everybody has worked continuously in this, but I still feel a bit on their own. Do you see, given that now we are at the threshold of a challenge which is common to everybody, the 6 material types is common to everybody. So do you see that we have sufficient platforms? You're part of ITAC as well, but is there a need for more like that where we can use collaborative efforts within the tire industry to find solutions for the future, standards, whatever?
Yeah, in fact, ITAC already initiated this. There is a consortium of few tire companies. I'm just not naming them. So recently we had 3 of us together for the first time visited a couple of raw material manufacturers in India and requested them to have a common specification. That was the first challenge which we thought, we discussed in ITAC also earlier, that we should have a common specification. So such a project has already initiated. So such 3 projects are initiated by ITAC. All are in the sustainability space only, mostly, but in the case of recycling kind of area, like pyrolysis of carbon black and the reclaimed rubber and crumb rubber. So these 3 projects are already initiated. I would say this should be a small beginning, but we have to do more. We have to see, without this is a space where we should collaborate. There is no question about it. I don't have any second thought, because I was always personally keen to take a lot of initiative in this. Because if you look at, there are examples, like if you look at the tire industry project of Europe. So that is a consortium of big tire companies. Some of the Indian companies are also there. So basically, in this space, I don't think that there are barriers to collaborate. Yes, there could be confidential areas which we can avoid, and the right step could be to collaborate. And second, also we need to talk to government. And one of the challenges what we are facing when we are driving such projects are, our country, there are only few, the industry, there are only few who can collaborate by using their R&D center. So I would say I can see few of them here. They are very successful because they started an R&D center. But it is high time that, looking at the success of them, it is high time that we should have everyone, not one, every one of you sitting here should have your own small initiatives in the R&D centers. Without that, you can't collaborate, because for you to collaborate, for anyone to collaborate, first thing what is needed is a developmental facility and a will and a team, a small team to do that. So that is the first step, I would say. Then tire industries can coordinate it, and we don't know everything. Okay, so we need to collaborate through academic institutions. The ITAC project is a tripartite program. So this is the way to go, but this is 1 or 2 or 3 projects are insufficient, I would say, looking at the task in hand and the time we have. So it should be maybe more than 15-20 projects of this scale. If you run, then we can do, is my thinking.
Well, it's very encouraging that at least there's a start, there is a platform, and I think that can be a good use case, so that it can be built further to expand on what you're doing now. I don't know whether Rajitha, you'd like to add something to this, your perspective too.
Yeah, I think I'll share an interesting data point here. In last 50 years in tire industry, if you take top 15 companies, so 2 or 3 companies are vanished, like Dunlop, and Goodyear is also selling many businesses. But no new entrant has come. So no new kind of, the major investment has come in tire industry. I'm talking about global tire industry, not Indian alone. Now in India, if you take Reliance Group is approximately must be around $120 billion company, okay, which is more than top 5 global tire companies. Reliance is also into many of the products which are used in tires. But how much they have contributed till now? Their contribution is limited to bringing those technologies which are available elsewhere. But if you say, if you take the need for next 30, 40 years, because fossil fuel is limited, every one of us know, and whatever has not happened in last 50 years, it will happen very rapidly in next 20 years. But I mean, it's not a very, very bad situation that we all will have, you know, you will not have tires to roll, because it cannot happen. So something will come in, external things will come in definitely to save the, you know, tire industry or the rubber industry, and many research will initiate in future. This group, or like all of us, none of us are decision makers. We are all influencers, right? Because the investment has to come from promoters or those who have money. None of us have money. We are all the influencers. We are all talking. We are giving scenarios that what can happen 40 years, 50 years down the line. So let us prepare today. And many things are happening also. It's not that it is not happening, but the need is bigger. And companies like Reliance or maybe, for example, Apple has come into the auto industry. Now one is a mobile phone maker coming into auto industry. So something like that has to happen in next 10, 15, 20 years, and probably we'll have bigger breakthroughs than what we all discussing today, and the things can change very rapidly.
I think I'll just take that further with Rajitha, because I think what we have discussed so far is what the tire industry would do on its own. But I think, as all of us know, and I'm sure Padma Kumar would be a strong advocate of that, is there are no successful companies. There are only successful supply chains, right? So you cannot work in isolation. You have to take your supply chain along with you. So how do you see, Rajitha, the vendor base, the vendor selections, the commitment of the vendors participating in this? I'll just give a quick example, like I mentioned in my presentation. Getting steel mills to follow your sustainability goals requires quite an effort, right? So they should also be on the same page. So you probably have this with other material. How do you see this?
So, thank you for the question, sir. So, in general, we should approach it in a holistic way, because the whole supply chain has to support the tire industry to go to the target or carbon neutrality or any target, whatever we are taking. Because we have a lot of challenges, whether it is with respect to government policies or regulations, or with respect to OEM demands or any customer demands. So to support this, actually we need to get our supplier partners together. So generally in supplier selection also we need to take certain actions, like whichever suppliers, as Sujith sir mentioned, like whoever is having certain R&D capabilities, or whoever can adapt to the changes very quickly, to the new technologies, these kind of situations. Adaptation is very important. So we need to get the support of the suppliers to adapt these changes very quickly. Also, there will be some differentiation between customization as well as standardization. Like some solutions will be customized to the need of individual companies, and something will be a standardized solution which may need a standard for all companies together. So whether it is recycling, we are looking at a standardization point of view. Certain new technologies, to make a differentiator, we may have to look for customized approaches also. So adaptation is the important thing in the supply chain. Also, we should ensure that our local partners who are suppliers also are meeting the demands globally, like they are into a global standard. So supporting them, providing guidance. So these kind of conferences help the suppliers to understand what we need, as well as individual or long-term collaborative projects in a structured way, which we can do with the suppliers. All the companies must be doing it. Maybe these kind of things, if we are enforcing too much, so those things also can support in the make everyone in the same page as you discussed. So these all are the things. So yeah.
Thanks. I think it's interesting because it's not just about finding vendors that can supply you today, but taking a forward view to see whether their strategies also support the goals that you have, and do they have the capability and capacity, and therefore then you would look at standardization and customization with them. Would you like to add something to that as well, Hari?
Yeah. See, sustainability is something which I think you cannot attain alone. So I cannot be sustainable when my surrounding is unsustainable. So definitely we are talking about mainly the sustainability from the raw materials point of view. It will happen with the collaboration with the with our suppliers, because it's a chain. As you rightly said, it's not the sustainability of the product alone. It's the sustainability of the whole product supply chain. So it starts from the extraction of the material up to the end of life and disposal. So my supplier's gain is my gain when it comes to sustainability. So I have to do make all the possible efforts to make sure that the suppliers are improving day by day in terms of the sustainability goals, in terms of the energy consumption, in terms of the preserving the natural resources. So whatever targets I have taken to improve the sustainability of the tires, the same thing is applicable for all my raw materials. So I think fortunately always the tire industry has been in a very good collaboration with the suppliers, be it rubber, be it steel tire cord, be it textile tire cord. I think there has been always a very good collaboration between the tire manufacturers and the suppliers. Even the recent developments like the recovered carbon black or the silica from RHA, there has been a very good collaboration by which the suppliers are able to improve over a period of time the carbon footprint of their material. So their output is my input. So that way I improve the overall carbon footprint of my product. So without supplier, like Mr. Padmakumar was telling, without suppliers we are zero. So the collaboration is very much significant and relevant going forward to achieve the 2050 targets of 100% sustainability.
Thanks. While you're still holding the mic, let me put the next question also to you. I think we talked about legislation already, and I think this is becoming more and more something to prepare for. But the problem is you don't have consensus, right? Europe has their view on it, US has their view on it, India is of course having their own view on it. How do you think the tire industry should prepare? I mean, where to look and what standard to follow? How do you guide, make a strategy on this?
Yeah, legislation, I think the discussion on sustainability will never be complete without discussing legislation. Because they are the enablers. They are making the framework, they are giving us the deadlines like UDR, and they are also making standards, and of course the motivation through some incentives. See, the fact of the matter is we don't take anything so seriously unless it is enforced on us. That's a natural, maybe a human tendency. And also, if there is no force coming upon you through legislations or regulations, maybe we will not go. It may happen, but at a slower pace probably, because being unsustainable is probably more profitable and more comfortable at the moment. So given a choice, you may select that way, but then that is where the importance of the legislations are coming into play. We have a lot of examples in front of us. For example, the REACH regulations. If the REACH regulations were not made so strict, let's say 15 years ago, I'm sure that the kind of aromatic oils we will be happy to use aromatic oils in making compounds for the tire. So thanks to REACH regulations, so now we don't even think about aromatic oils, even though that was multiple times costlier compared to the more convenient, easily available aromatic oil. People moved. So the same way we have UDR is a very similar situation. So unless that is forced upon us, we may not think so much seriously into the deforestation. Even though we talk a lot, the actions will come only when you have some force coming upon you. Similarly, the labeling requirements. Because the labeling requirements, maybe it started with Europe, it became so important and strict for entering into the market. So you have engaged in so many extensive researches for reducing the rolling resistance, improving the safety by grip, and improving the abrasion or wear resistance, and reduce the tread wear particles. So all these innovations come, or the speed of innovations increase when you have regulations in place. So I think regulations are very, very important. It needs to be there. But I feel it should not be only for regulating. There should be a lot of incentives or motivation happening, because for all these things to happen, I should be having enough motivation, especially when this is for a very big cause of environment, sustainability, etc. There has to be enough motivation to do things. When you have regulations, you will do because of force. But if it has to come from the heart, I feel there has to be a lot of motivations as well, through different ways. So in that perspective also, I think government interventions through regulations or incentives would play a big role to make this journey at a faster pace.
Well, thanks. I think Vidit, you make in India and you're selling all around the world. Yours is a rather export-centric business model, at least as of now. Would you like to add something to just what Hari mentioned on the legislation impact that you all face?
The question is simple, but the answer is very difficult actually to answer today. And we are not ignorant. We are actually working towards it. And like he said, some of the regulations are really useful. Like in European countries, they have EC for PCR, TVR, LTR. They are really, I mean, they safeguard the interest of the users, the passengers, and the human lives are saved. But some we may have to reflect, like Tom sir was saying, this UDR, is it really, I mean, worth looking at today or not, or even 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line? Is it really affecting the forestation? So ultimately what is going to happen is whatever regulations you bring in, it comes at a cost. And the cost is, if you think that cost is paid by tire companies or the user of tires, no, it is paid by all of us. Because the user of tires will charge to its customers, and we are their customers. So ultimately, whatever things you impose, whatever cost you enhance, everybody pays.
Well, I'll come to that part of the question later in terms of who's going to pay for the party. But actually, I wanted to, this has been a stone in the shoe for me as well when I was, with Beckett and trying to bring in steel cord into India, is the time it takes for the tire industry to approve something. Now we're talking about literally the whole portfolio of materials, and we're talking about almost re-engineering them, which means, like you mentioned earlier, Rajitha, there would be new standards that have to be made. how do we have to now look at re-engineering the validation processes that we have to make this go faster? Because, I mean, spending 2 to 3 years to develop some of the critical material, at least I can say that for steel, and then you realize that you have to again make a change. Do you think as an industry we should relook at some of these validation processes, re-engineer them, or we're good? I'm probably putting you in a spot, but don't speak on behalf of Apollo.
Yeah. So definitely when we are moving ahead, industry is moving towards anything, definitely there will be changes in the validation processes also. So here actually, but in the case of the sustainability or any new technology is concerned, as far as if the basic molecules, like in some of the cases when we are making the bio or sustainable polymers, so in that case, like there is no separate validations like this, or as far as the molecule is same, we are going with the same kind of properties, so then we can minimize the validation time. And whereas in some other cases, there are already lot of work is happening in the virtual as well as physical simulations. People are doing lot of simulation techniques, advanced staging testing. So all these things people are already trying, validations are happening. So these kind of things can support in the whether the product is fit to use. Because when we are introducing novel materials or new technologies, we definitely have to validate whether the product is fit to use or whether it is meeting the requirements. So in these cases, we have to see whether these things through at least certain simulation techniques can support in quick validation. In some other case, as I already mentioned, some standardization. Because in some of the recycled materials, if we are getting a standard product, like recovered carbon black, with certain standards like N330 or N550, we know this material is going to be giving these kind of performance. So those kind of things can support in quick validations. So whether it is similarly in reinforcement also, it will take a lot of time to give bio-based reinforcements or bio-based polymers, but still these kind of validations, as far as the material is giving the same performance in the specifications, it would be easier to incorporate. But if it is totally different from what we are using right now, it will take time.
Sujith, you wanted to add something?
I would like to add one point to what she said. I think validation, the standard procedures, anyway one should follow. But some of the practical challenges we may face when we replace a virgin material with any alternate is how close we can meet the performance. Okay. Ideally we target 100, but in this space of sustainable materials, probably it could be 85, 90. So certain allowances we may have to think of, but then how to handle it, because finally the customer wants 100%. So here I would like to add one more R, that is redesign. Okay. So redesign means sometimes we try to achieve the product performance on a design what is already existing. So that redesign concept, if you adopt along with whatever the shortfalls those materials are having, then it could be a faster approach in validating it, in launching a product.
But do you see, like for instance, luckily we have AI coming in a big way, and Rajitha talked about simulation models. So do you see that with a greater absorption of AI into simulation models, we'll be able to, like go no go in many cases, move that needle faster?
I will not be able to comment more than this, because yes, that is the way to go. The way to go, I would say. AI can do wonders in this space. I can't comment more than this.
Vidit, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to surprise you. Recently, we hired some interns from IIT, and a fresh mind. I call it unpolluted mind. So, we just gave him a simple task that I give you the boundary conditions. Your AI should be able to design my pattern. And you will be amazed to see that they gave 4 options. I gave the boundary conditions. These are my boundary conditions. You just design from AI. And it gave 4 options, not 1. So AI can do wonders. Many of the things which we are doing, I mean, manually, and a lot of thinking process and manual time, intellectual time goes. AI is really very, very fast and beyond our thinking.
Well, thanks. That's something exciting to look forward to, how this is going to shape our industry. Now I'll come to your favorite topic of who's going to pay for the party. Because, I mean, I don't want to pay more as for the Tyre, right? And I guess if I wear the purchaser's hat, and there are several people here who have worn that, basically they want the same performing product at, with the sustainable aspect integrated into it, but not increasing the cost. How do we deal with this? It's open to all of you. So
I'm a technologist. normally.
Well, there's a cost of innovation.
This question will be answered by mostly the people who face the customers. So, but it is part of our life. So, getting the value what you have incurred plus the promoters pie is really most difficult task of the whole business chain, because no customers or no users want to pay higher than what he is paying today. Everybody wants a reduction only. So the pressure is pushed back to the previous chain. So tire producer will push back its raw material producer that, okay, I want the performance increment but at no cost. So that guy will go back and look at his raw material supply. So this chain continues, and in this chain what happens is, most of the time, in most of the cases, we get improvement, a very good improvement, and not at a very high cost. I'll justify this. Tom sir is probably the most senior leader among all of us in tire industry. They might have started career in 75, 76. So at that time, the mileage of a truck tire used to be, I think, 25,000, something like that. And today, the bias tire, front bias tire, gives around 1 lakh in India, and the radial tire 1.5 lakhs. And radial tire in European countries, it gives, my own tire is giving around 3.8 lakhs. In US, it is giving 4.5 lakhs. So 20,000 and 4.5 lakhs. And the price also has not changed that much. Because in those days, 70s and 80s, tire used to get sold in black. There were less producer and high demand. So what has happened? From 20,000 to 4.5 lakh, you have reached, not incurring too much of a cost. Right?
I hope there are no HR people here, because then they'll say you don't need to increase salaries anymore.
But in my life itself, I have seen the raw material prices. Probably that is the most important aspect for this particular sustainability, because we are all talking about 3 or 4 types of raw materials. But I have my own assurances from them that this will come down by 50% in another 1 year or 2 years. So those kind of verbal assurances are there. So it's all a question of scaling up the things, which today probably they also don't know how to do that, but that will happen over a period of time. And second is creating an ecosystem. Ecosystem, I mean the sufficient competition and, making in India, all those kind of, once we create that ecosystem, automatically the prices will drop. This is my prediction.
No, it's like we've seen in telecommunications, the cost of a phone call used to be so much more in the earlier days. I remember in '95 when I had a cellular phone, people would call me Cells because I had a cellular phone. And it was considered fancy because it was 16 rupees a minute and you only spoke very carefully, very selectively.
Yeah.
But today it's you don't even think about it, right? So indeed, scaling can make a big difference to this game.
Correct. But definitely the Indian, any customer, I agree with Vidit that they're not going to, we have to make at the same price. Then only it will be sold.
Interesting.
So that is the responsibility for us.
And anyone else wants to make a comment on that?
No, I think this, at least for the immediate future, probably it has to be shared by the whole supply chain, since the customer may not take the full cost. It is not practicable. So I think probably it may be shared by the supply chain elements. That's what I can envisage.
And over a period of time, like Sujith said,
Yes,
this could be
right.
normalized.
The history says that when the scalability comes, the cost also should be coming down.
Great. Well, I'd like to open it up to the audience as well. So please feel free to take a dig at the panelists while they're on the chair and dig into their brains, anybody has any questions to ask for the panel? Yeah. I think we've taken all the mics here.
Allah is asking questions to Sri.
No, the other one.
Hello, good evening. Interesting discussion. Sujith some time back indicated maybe we have to think of accepting at 85%, 90% quality level or from the current level when you look at the evaluation of the materials. Vidit was mentioning maybe the customer is not willing to pay a big price. So if you look at the Indian, let us talk about the truck tire market in India. So maybe close to about 65% of Indian truck tire market is owned by small players. Those who have 1 truck, 2 trucks, or less than 5 trucks, you can say. They are not organized or big fleets. These manufacturers typically are small players, and they are not willing to. So if an opportunity is given, they will put a bias tire in place of a radial tire. That kind of a situation we have also seen, Sri, in our market situation. So of course this raw material prices also has got another impact of the processability at the tire plant. So when you use it in the tire plant, different we call it sustainable material, we approved from R&D. But when it comes to the process, or when it come to the show floor, the rejections, all these things can get hampered. But it is, I fully agree, it's a big challenge for the whole industry that to reach a level of even up to 35 or 40% is going to be a big challenge.
Yeah, thanks, Bala. I think you touched upon something which is quite intrinsic and unique in India in terms of the fleet sizes. This may be a different situation in countries like the US where you have much bigger fleet sizes. Does anybody else have a question that they'd like to?
I have a question. Okay, we all talk about collaboration, but I have not seen any collaboration between tire companies in India in research and development. Though these 4 people are very good friends, but I have not seen them working together on one project.
We just talked about it. Come on, let us go back to it.
No, but it's a practical answer.
No, but he mentioned about ITAC
already. Mentioned about 2 or 3 projects are there under the governance. It's coordinated by ITAC, the government,
but and private.
Yeah, it is there. That is mandated, and that is started. 3 projects started, I said, on 3 sustainable materials.
Look, it's not significant. If you look in the automotive industry, probably they're a bit ahead. You look at AI, they're probably ahead. But I think it's a move in the right direction, and I think it's a good experiment as well.
I was talking about such a project in Europe. It's the Tyre TIP, Tire Industry Project. few biggies are a part of that, and one of their recommendation was that EUDR.
Okay. So it need not always be good.
Not always good for us.
No, I think Indian tire companies still probably is a bit conventional when it comes to collaboration. I think we should thank people like Anthony and Sharath for creating this kind of platforms. At least we can speak a bit openly. Otherwise, I never called Sujith for any official matters because it is still considered to be maybe a bit of unethical. But yes, I think things may change because the goal is common and it's a bigger cause, noble cause. So I think things may change going forward in India also.
At least you have a room full of people that will go back and talk about the virtues of collaborating and say, why not think about it?
I would like to add one more point which I missed, because we have a lot of vendors today. So I think their initiatives, their ability to collaborate with all the tire companies in India, it's on a very higher scale, I would say. It's at least few of them have shown a very positive intent. So I would like to thank each one of them. It's only a beginning, but we have to go a long way in this. So I would like to thank each one of them.
Great, thanks. Any other questions, or everybody's waiting for the dinner, I guess? So anyway, I'd like to, I would have had one or two more questions, but I think we're already 15 minutes past. Do you have a question? Sorry.
I'm from 4A's. Most of you may know me. See, I'm basically a resin chemist involved in the resin for the last 45-50 years.
Might close up.
And basically, I would like to collaborate with the tire industries because I want to work synergistically with the tire industries, want to understand how they are going to proceed with the futuristic type of technologies they are planning to develop and implement. So for that one, as a customer or raw material supplier to the tire industries, we can collaborate in such a way. If there is any breakthrough type of technologies that can result because of that collaboration, maybe, just like, for example, Continental Tire is collaborating with Eastman in some of the materials, and they are taking a joint patent activities. Okay, by means the Eastman or some other companies are actually providing the material, raw material to Continental, and Continental is developing advanced technologies, tires. So likewise, I don't know whether the tire industries in India are doing such a thing, but my thinking is whether the tire industries are willing to go for that kind of activities. It can be maybe one-on-one, okay, or it can be, in general. So if we develop a product, we can specifically work with the particular tire companies so that whatever they are thinking, I want to develop this high performance radial tire. For that one, unless we have a joint project between these two companies, we don't know what their thinking is. They don't know what the raw material people are thinking. By putting these things together, there is a possibility that India can develop advanced technologies as far as the tires are concerned. So for that one, as a raw material supplier and knowing the chemistry, we can work together with any of the Indian tire companies for the advanced tire technology development. This is what I want to mention. Yes, we are capable. And whatever Dr. Nair was saying, see, my vision is, okay, I came from US. I am a US citizen. I came from US in the sense I wanted to do something unique in India. That is why I am staying here. but I'm a US citizen. I can stay in the US permanently. There is no question under it. But my thinking is for the last 10 years or maybe 12 years, I want to do something in India for India. Okay? Even though I'm a US citizen, but I have been doing that one. There are a lot of breakthrough technologies I have developed within the last 12 years. But I want to continue to do the same thing with the help of the tire industry. That's my wish. Okay? Maybe the tire industries can, I know chemistry. I know chemistry very well. So with the type of thinking I have, maybe the tire industries can collaborate with our company, 4As. We are establishing a very good R&D center, and it's going to be one of the best in the world. That's what my vision is. So with that kind of a vision, I think the tire industry should help us to work with them so that they can benefit and we can benefit also. This is my thinking. Okay?
Thank you, sir. I don't think Rajiv Budraja is here, but he would have been happy to hear that.
Dr. Duraj, right? So, my experience is when recently, maybe 10, 15 years back, not recently, I say, India never had, Indian tire companies never had all the raw materials made in India. So, when I was looking at that time with my organization, it was close to maybe 25 or 30 items. So today it is 5 or 6. It has come down to that level. So all those 20, 25 materials are indigenized with the help of mostly Indian companies only. So that is my experience. I just want to share for the benefit of all of them. So I think we have the capability to do everything what we want to do here in India for all the type of tires what we are going to make. So maybe 2 or 3 or 4 items will be remaining. Other than that, everything we have almost either done or in the process of doing. So just want to mention about that.
I wanted to point out a few things, okay? As you can see, when the synthetic rubbers were invented during the World War II, okay? And BASF is the only company invented co-resin, okay? Within the history of 75 years, nobody in the world ever duplicated that co-resin, okay? But I did that in India, first thing. Likewise, after I joined 4As, within the last 3 months, we have manufactured PTOP resin, which is in par with the 3 majors, okay? Schenectady, Sumitomo Duras, Sinology. Our technology is like that one. Our price is much more competitive. With our R&D, we have done that one. Likewise, we want to develop advanced technologies. That's why we need some collaboration with tire companies. We can work together and make it India great again. Okay, not America great again, India great again. Okay, you understand?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen,
everybody.
a loud round of applause for our panel here.